Morning, all. For some reason, I cannot hear you folks.
Morning.
Oh, there's Lindsay. Yep.
Morning, Brian. Morning, Monica. Morning, John.
Morning, all.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, this morning is a Committee of Adjustment hearing for Township of Southgate, and I will call the meeting at 9 a.m. My name is Martin Shipston. I'm the chairperson of the Committee of Adjustment, and I call this meeting again at 9. The committee members include members of council. However, we sit at this table as the Committee of Adjustment and not as members of council. Our jurisdiction lies solely with matters of consents and minor variation applications. The secretary of the committee is Holly Malnick, or is it you? Or it's Lindsay Green, my mistake. Lindsay, welcome.
Either one of us.
Either one. Well, Lindsay, today you're it. This is a hearing to consider applications for minor variances consents within the Township of Southgate and is held under the provisions of the Planning Act 1990. And this hearing will be in accordance with the Provincial Planning Act, the Municipal Act, and the Township of Southgate Official Plan. May I please have confirmation of the agenda? Moved by Barb, seconded by Brian. Thank you very much. Be resolved that the committee confirm the agenda as presented. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we will move forward. Adoption of the minutes. Please be advised that there was no Committee of Adjustment meeting last month. Therefore, there are no meeting minutes to approve at this time. So as far as the hearings go, I will ask that anyone speaking about an application to state their full name and address for the record. Please keep all remarks relevant to the consent or minor variance application before us, as the Committee of Adjustment has no jurisdiction on any other matters. Excuse me. Any material submitted to the committee for viewing will remain the property of the Committee of Adjustment and will be available for public viewing in the application file and may be placed online. Please direct all remarks to myself, and this will enable the meeting to be conducted in the appropriate manner. So I think we have two files today. B225, Willard Martin, Concession 3, Part Lot 42, Geographic Township of Egremont, Township of Southgate. And the purpose of this application, B225, is to sever the subject lands to create a lot containing an existing school. The severed lot would have 119.24 meters frontage on Southgate Road side road 41, and about 82 meters depth and 0.977 hectares lot area. The retained lot is a regularly shaped farmland and woodlot with about 150.3 meters frontage on Southgate side road 41, 1,352 meters depth along Southgate Road 12, and 33.6 hectares lot area. And the ensuing effect of proposed consent application B225 is to create a lot containing the school, parking, trees, and accessory buildings while retaining the 33.6 hectare farm parcel. Application C925 has been received to rezone the school site community facility, prohibit future residential development on the retained lot, and address any other issues. And the location of the subject land is civic address 392015 Gray Road 109, east of the rail trail. And the legal description is Concession 3, Part Lot 42, Geographic Township of Egremont, Township of Southgate. And was there a request for deferral or withdrawal of the application?
None received.
Thank you. May I please have clarification that sign was posted?
Yes, through you, Chair. The sign was posted in accordance with the Planning Act and notice was sent out.
Great. Thank you, Lindsay. I will now ask our planner to review all comments received and present staff reports. So, Victoria, go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Just to clarify as well, committee saw this file back in May and it was approved. So the applicant is actually requesting that committee rescind one of the conditions. It's condition 4 of the approved conditions for file B2-25. So just to review, it was Six Nations of the Grand River. They provided comments on B2-25 and they requested a minimum stage 1 archaeology assessment be undertaken and then an assessment report be provided as well for the review. So under Section 5323 of the Planning Act, the committee can change conditions of a provisional consent anytime before final approval. So after some indication that NGR agree with the removal of the condition, the applicant asks that committee modify its decision, which is condition 4. So the archaeological assessment is not needed. Again, committee received staff report B2-25 back in May and issued notice of decision to conditionally approve a lot containing the existing school while retaining a 33.6 hectare farm as well. So at the hearing, committee discussed Six Nations of the Grand River request for the archaeological investigation or the assessment. And condition 4 of the approved file B2-25 requires the stage 1 archaeology assessment for just the severed parcel only, not the retained farm parcel. So staff recognized the request from SNGR regarding the archaeological potential on site and the stage 1 archaeological assessment and the associative report that they would like to review. But the retained parcel has been previously disturbed. It's an ongoing cash crop farm. And the severed lot contains an existing school that also has been previously disturbed by ongoing use. So the applicant is requesting that committee consider rescinding condition 4 of the approved consent. And as outlined in staff's previous report that was presented in May, and then the associated rezoning of C9-25, the consent and rezoning were supported by staff, and we believe are consistent still with the provincial policy and compliant with the Grey County and Township official plan, even if condition 4 of the file is modified to eliminate the archaeological requirement on the severed lot. Happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions? Monica, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. Just through you, Chair, to Victoria. Thank you for the update. Just a question with regards to whether or not if staff were to remove this condition, will we still be compliant with regards to the Planning Act and the provincial policy statement?
Through you, yes, staff are still in support of the application and still believe it meets provincial policy and the official plans.
May I follow up, Chair?
You may.
Thank you. So thank you for that, Victoria. Just another question, just in terms of has the SNGR rather formally withdrawn or softened the request for the stage 1 study in writing?
Through you, we have not received anything formal in writing.
So with that, would we be confident that we're not creating a risk possibly for the township of by rescinding it today rather than later?
Through you, I guess that's committee's discretion, what they would like to proceed with if they feel comfortable at this point in time. We have not heard anything, and we've given proper notice as well, and we received comments from SNGR around the same time earlier before it went to committee. So it would be committee's discretion if they feel comfortable going forward with rescinding the condition.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions, Barb? Brian? One from Joan, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Victoria, you said the SNGR was notified about this condition that they want to rescind and they didn't respond? Did they?
True. Yes. Yeah. Proper notice was given for this, for the modifying of the condition. Yes.
And they had requested it in the first place?
Through you. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Barb, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Chair. And while I appreciate the request, have we picked up the telephone and called Six Nations of the Grand River office to ensure that they have indeed received it, that their lack of response is indeed their support? Because we've been down this road before. And I would rather err on the side of making sure we have followed our duty to consult appropriately and done every effort to make contact and before we actually approve the rescinding of this clause. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Monica, go ahead.
Thank you. So just to the point of Deputy Mayor, I am in the same thought process of what she has said, that I too would be more comfortable just confirming with SNGR final position in writing before removing the requirements, simply just to ensure that the township is fully protected.
Okay, thank you. So they have said they wanted to rescind it? And they just haven't sent us anything back? Is that what I'm hearing? Barb, go ahead.
No, the applicant is requesting us to rescind the clause
Mm-hmm.
for the requirement of the stage 1 archaeological assessment.
Okay.
It has been recirculated to Six Nations of the Grand River, but we have
They
heard
have,
no
they have not
response.
heard back. Okay. Yeah, Brian, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. By granting the request, the township is not, in my mind, putting ourselves at any greater risk. SNGR can still appeal the decision if they so choose. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Yeah. And I guess I have a comment. It's farmland that's been farmed up and it's been a building there for a while. If they found anything, they would have certainly found anything by now. So with that being said, that's just a personal opinion. If the applicant is in attendance, would they like to come forward?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Come, Brian, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this property is probably about 30 kilometers west of the Haldeman Tract, which is, of course, the traditional territory of the Six Nations. So there is some a bit of confusion as to why they would ask for this in the first place. I did discuss this file with Chief Hill at the AMO conference, and she was a little bit unsure as to why the request was made in the first place.
And that
That's
is
all.
noted.
Thank
Yep,
you.
Thank you, Brian. And I think there was one file where it said the other Indigenous group had no problem with it. So anyway, Mr. Mart, if you would like to come up, if you have anything to say. Yep, and state your name and your address, even though we have it here, if you could, for the record.
Good morning, I'm Andrew Fry. I'm speaking on behalf of Mark Fry, which does the paperwork. He's actually invited in a wedding up north in Matheson, so it's the first time for me. So I don't know if I can answer any questions, but the way I understand it, then this was actually consented this spring that it doesn't need to be done. So we went to the lawyer to try and get everything on paper, and well, he can't have verbal consent. He needs written consent. So that's why we're back here, I guess. We need written consent. If that clarifies anything.
No, that's fine. Yep.
Did I forget my address?
We have it on here. It's good. Great. Thank you very much. Okay, next part. Is there any in attendance that are in favor of this application? Seeing none, and obviously there's no one in attendance in opposition, not even up on the screen. So any other questions from the committee? Monica, go ahead. Excuse me.
Thank you, Chair. So just with the recent further information there, I'm just wondering if it would be like procedurally safer to defer until we receive a final response.
Ken?
Uh,
Ken, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to members of the committee. I would go back to several of the questions related to actually getting a response from. Sorry, can you hear me okay now? No. I would go back to some of the questions that we've heard this morning. it's not uncommon for various agencies to simply choose not to respond, either because the resourcing at the time of a notice of an application is just not there, or they make a decision internally that there's no need for their agency to even make the effort to respond because it's not relevant. Directly to Councillor Singsor's question, I think deferral is not really going to help here because there's no guarantee that we would even be able to give you a formal response, because even if we contact the agency, they don't always want to give a response in certain situations to sort of put themselves in a non-precedent situation, if you will call it that. I think from what you've heard this morning, the applicant has an ability to request a condition change under the act. The consent has not been finalized, as his worship mentioned. If after all of this discussion, committee approves the request and the First Nations are still very much wanting that condition, they do have a right to appeal, and we would find that out within 20 days of the decision being made. Conversely, I think we'd have a pretty definitive understanding if that 20 days passes and there's no appeal.
Thank you. And I remember the meeting, and it really, we were all questioning why on a property that had already been disturbed for, it's been farmed forever. So would Six Nations of the Grand River be notified of the decision? So then they would have those 20 days to say, hey, wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that we're any further ahead
Yeah.
deferring it, so.
No. So, Ken, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, if I may, that I would say your risk level, regardless of what you do, is probably no different than whether you defer it. The only thing I would add is that deferring puts the applicant in a position that there's no decision until we get an answer, and then what happens if we're not able to actually get an official answer to provide. It would be my recommendation, and in my opinion, I think you proceed with making a decision and we see how things unfold.
Yep. Joan, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ken, just a quick question. What's the timeline to get the archaeological assessment report done? How much more time will it take them to get it done? And is it a big cost to the applicant?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I may require some assistance from Victoria and Bill, but as I understand it, you wouldn't be able to actually get into doing any of this work until the spring at this point, and there is costs associated with hiring the appropriate experts to go in and do that work and produce the report. I'm not sure if I missed anything, if Bill or Victoria want to jump in.
Thank you.
Good morning. I typically these, especially agricultural situations, they're done in the fall when the land's turned over. So I would agree with what the director said, that it's past time for this. And they're not inexpensive. It depends on the stage, but I think a stage one on that smaller parcel would be likely less than 10,000, but it would be probably more than a few thousand.
Thank you.
Monica? Yep.
Oh,
Is that it,
Thank
Joan?
you, Chair.
Monica, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarification then for the assessment regarding the safeguard, because I know once they're removed, it's hard to get them back on. So I'm just trying to better understand. I don't want to delay anything or make things more expensive or anything like that. It's just my understanding when these assessments are put into place is for a safeguard for the township and also the applicant for anything avoidable for avoiding avoidable risks. So that's the only reason why I'm just trying to understand what, if we were to do away with this safeguard at this time, instead, could there be a conditional approval today based on within a time frame that we can get something in writing that says that we don't need a stage 1 assessment any longer? I just want to make sure that we're following procedure and everything properly. Otherwise, if this is really not required, then can we just get something in writing that says that?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, clerk.
Through the chair to you, Member Singh Soares. So it's already currently a condition of the consent file that they're to do an archaeological study. But what we're here for today is to waive it. So we have let the agency know that that's the intent, is to waive it, and they've not responded. So I don't know that we'll get any more clarification from them if they're okay with that or not. To what Ken said, they would have the chance to appeal it. And that's like, they'll get another notice essentially if this were to be approved that the conditions waived. Then they're going to get another notice saying that we've waived it. And at that point, they can say, hey, we don't want that waived, and come back and appeal it. But at this stage, we've let them know and they have not responded. And considering they responded the first time within, you know, a quick amount of time, I would say, alluding to what Victoria said earlier, it's kind of odd that they haven't responded to this one. They probably aren't going to. So I can't speak for them. Maybe they would. I don't know, but they are going to get the notice regardless. So they're going to know if committee waives the condition, and then they would have that chance to appeal it. So there's not really another condition that we can impose right now. It's about taking off the condition that committee posed on it in the first place earlier this year, if that makes sense.
It does. Just wanting to understand better, like, then why would we have the assessment there in place already? Even so, my understanding right now is that because we're not getting a response, we're gonna waive it. But I'm not sure if is that a good idea? Maybe someone can explain it to make me help me better understand too. I guess it's just not a solid answer. I think that we're just going to waive something because they're not responding. So does that keep us safeguarded, or we should let them know that we need a response?
Okay. First, Ken will answer that, and then I see your hand, Brian.
Well, I'm happy to defer to his worship if he wants to add, and then I can add on.
Did you want to add on to that, Brian, what for Monica, or something different? Because
I was just going to say, I think it's been made fairly clear here that the consent was approved with this condition and others already. The applicant understands that, one, this property is well outside the traditional territory of the Six Nations, so there's some question as to why the condition was asked for in the first place. The second is it's going to cost the applicant upwards of $10,000 to do this on a property where the likelihood of finding any artifacts is extremely remote, because it's been a worked field for many years prior to the schoolhouse being put there. And if we do waive the condition, it's the applicant that has asked for the condition to be waived for the reasons I just mentioned. And there may be other reasons, but those are the main reasons. If we waive the condition, the First Nations does still have the ability to appeal the decision to this board. So there's no risk to us in terms of deferring or withdrawing the condition. So I struggle to understand what the concern is, Councillor Singh Soares.
Thank you for the clarification. That's helpful. To understand the reasoning is what I just mentioned before, is that if the safeguard is in place and we're waiving it simply because we're not receiving a response, that's where concern comes in. Also, that sets a precedent for future applications that could come in and maybe request the same. However, if there is that 20-day window, or the window that they can appeal within, then I mean, I guess I'm more comfortable with it. I've obviously having things in writing before decisions are made, are always better. And it's just, yeah, it's nothing more than to just make sure that the applicant is protected and so is the township.
First thing with procedural here, Monica, you weren't here at the May 28th Committee of Adjustment meeting, so you can have your say, but you can't have a vote because you never voted on this condition from the May 28th meeting when this came up. So I just was informed of that, so apologies there. Comments well taken though. Ken, you were,
Thank
and
you.
then Barb.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in addition to what his worship provided. So I think it's important for committee to understand a bit of the history here. When the initial application was circulated, we received comments from Six Nations of the Grand River requesting this stage 1 archaeological assessment. And as is typical of our process, when we get comments back from agencies, we typically will include a condition if they've asked for something to be considered. And that was a significant amount of discussion. I would say it was probably the bulk of the discussion on this item at the last committee meeting. Yeah. And what council, I should say, what committee decided to do was to include the condition. There have been conversations with First Nations communities throughout the county, by the county and others over time, just really to understand the issues that they are bringing forward. And I think what you've heard is that there's been a conversation about this particular application related to this not being in the tract. Why was this request made? And as you've heard, the applicant is who is making the request to change the condition, which is the applicant's purview under the Planning Act. What is before committee today is the simple question of, do you remove the condition or do you keep it in place? And from a risk management perspective, in my opinion, I don't see any difference in the level of risk. In fact, I think there's a little bit more risk if you defer the application to seek formal comments, because we have no ability to compel Six Nations of the Grand River to provide a formal comment. I think you have to take this request at its face value, at the fact that we haven't received a response, as you've heard from Lindsay, the clerk, and from staff, that the decision that you make, they will be notified and then they'll have an opportunity to appeal. And if we are completely misreading the response and it is still an issue, then we will have to deal with it at the OLT. And likewise, if we're reading this as it is, then there would be no appeal. The 20 days would go by, and on day 21, we would be able to issue a no appeal notification. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you. Barb?
Thank you. And to Member Milne's point is, we had this discussion and we were questioning it in the beginning. We narrowed the focus of that stage 1 archaeological study to only be on the severed portions. So that decision would have been notified to the Six Nations of the Grand River, and they didn't object to that when they originally wanted the entire property. I propose that we move to grant and go from there.
Okay. Thank you, Barb. Be it resolved that staff report PL 2025088 regarding consent file B225 for 392015 Gray Road 109-412-056 Southgate Side Road 41 be received for information, and that the committee consider rescinding condition 4 pursuant of the Planning Act, and that all remaining conditions of the approval of B225 apply. There has been a motion to grant. Do I have a seconder? Brian, all in favor? And that is carried. The excuse me, my tongue is not working. The decision of the Committee of Adjustment is to grant the application. The applicant shall have 2 years in which the conditions must be met. And that is that. The next file is A1325 Michael and Elaine Bradbury, Egremont Concession 22 North Park Lot 20, RP 16R 9204, Parts 1 and 4, Geographic Township of Egremont, Township of Southgate. And the purpose of this minor variance is to permit a proposed additional residential unit to be constructed plus or minus 290 meters east of the existing primary residence, closer to Southgate Road, Side Road 57 than the existing home. Section 5.2, 5.24.1, 1 and 2 of the zoning bylaw requires an additional residential unit be located within 50 meters maximum of the farm building cluster, which includes the primary dwelling, and not have a front yard abutting an improved street less than the front yard of the primary dwelling. So the effect of the application is to permit an additional residential unit setback plus or minus 63 meters from the front lot line along Southgate Road, Side Road 57, and plus or minus 290 meters from the existing residence on site. Location of the subject land is 573120 Southgate Side Road 57, and its legal description is Egremont Concession 22, North Park Lot 20, RP 16R 9204, Parts 1 and 4, Geographic Township of Egremont, Township of Southgate. Is there a request for deferral or withdrawal of this application?
None received.
Thank you, Lindsay. And may I please have clarification that the sign was posted?
Yes, through you, Chair, the sign was posted in accordance with the Planning Act and the notice was circulated.
Great, thank you again. I will now ask Victoria on all the comments received about this application.
Thank you very much. So as that was outlined, the applicant is proposing about 120 square meter additional residential unit. They're proposing about 290 meters east of the existing primary home on site, so closer to Southgate Side Road 57, the front lot line, than the existing dwelling. ARUs should be located or must be located no more than 50 meters maximum of the farm building cluster, which includes the primary dwelling on site, and have a front yard abutting an improved public street greater than the primary dwelling. So the variance in this case is required to address the 63 meter front yard setbacks for the proposed ARU, and then the 290 meter separation from the primary dwelling as well. But otherwise the area would meet the remaining provisions of the A1 exception on site, which is agricultural 1 exception 136 or A1-136 zone. So they're proposing to construct their ARU 120 square meters floor area, again 290 meters from the existing dwelling. So attachment 1 also shows the proposed site plan, and then attachment 2 shows the aerial image of the subject lands as well. Subject lands were previously severed, as mentioned, the agricultural exception A1-136 to address deficient lot area and frontage under the A1 zoning. Subject lands have about 126 meters along Southgate Side Road 57. 420 meters depth, and is about 8.7 hectares in lot area, and contains a farmhouse and some accessory buildings as well. There's also one driveway off of Southgate Side Road 57 with the northern lot line along Southgate Glenelg town line, and then it also borders the municipality of West Grey. But in the township zoning bylaw, section 5.24.1, ARUs with private well and sewage disposal, they require that the unit have the front yard abutting an improved street greater than the front yard of the primary dwelling. So it should be set back further than the primary dwelling. And then as well, should be located within 50 meters of the farm building cluster. So they're proposing it closer to Southgate Side Road 57, further away from the farm building cluster. The applicant also provided a rationale letter stating the reasons for locating the ARU closer to the township road. Reasoning included they would like to locate it away from the EP, and there's some wetland zones along the northwest and southwest corners. So there's some sensitive land uses back there. Topography as well, some presence of heavy treeing, and just not to disturb the EP and wetland zones. There's also some comments provided on page 3. Gray County planning staff have not done a formal review. They don't do formal reviews anymore for minor variance applications. But they typically recommend that ARUs be located within the farm cluster to limit land use conflicts between residential uses and farm uses, and limit potential removal of farmland, and then limit need for additional servicing on properties. But Gray County ecology staff had no concerns regarding the application. Township Public Works also indicated that safe access can be provided, but require civic address signage should be posted as well for the proposed ARU. And the proposal will not be located within the SVCA approximate screening area, so they will not require an SVCA permit. And SVCA had no further concerns. So staff feel that this proposed variance is minor, meets the 4 tests of a minor variance in the official plan, meets the intent and purpose of the official plan and the zoning bylaw as well. So just to outline the 4 tests, so it maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan where the ARU is permitted in the rural designation, where appropriate private servicing is available and is not located within hazard or wetlands as well. The applicant has also, as I mentioned earlier, provided rationale regarding separating the area from the hazard lands and wetlands. So they want to keep away from any sensitive uses. They're not taking away from any farmland. They have some horse pasture. And there's some, I believe, greenery that they kind of like to cluster the area within just to provide some buffering from Southgate Side Road 57. It maintains the general purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw. As mentioned, the ARU meets all the remaining provisions under section 5.24.1, which outlines ARUs in the A1 zone, and provides the required 120-meter setback from a wetland zone, which is also in section 5.25 of the township zoning bylaw. Staff also believe it's minor in nature where it meets the remaining regulations in the A1 zone and it would not impact the sight lines for traffic entering or exiting onto the side road. It's also screened, as I mentioned, from the street by existing tree cover. And lastly, it's desirable for the appropriate development of the subject lands where the ARU does not encroach on any protected environmental or wetlands, as mentioned, requires minimal tree removal as well, and is an area of rough land and tree cover, does not reduce any agricultural potential on site as well. So we also provided some current satellite images as well in the report that suggest the parcel is being used primarily as a rural residence. So happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Victoria. Monica, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So just taking a look at everything here, it pretty much to me looks like there's no safety or drainage or agricultural viability concerns. So and the agencies have no objections, so I don't see any issue in supporting this.
Great, thank you. Barb, do you have any before I go to the screen?
Thank you, through you to Victoria or to the secretary. It being bordered onto West Grey, and it just dawned on me that we had this once before. Does the municipality of West Grey have to be circulated? And if so, were they?
Yes, through you. The municipality gets circulated, and if it was the case of a different county, then the county also, but it's in gray, so that's fine. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And just
Go ahead.
additionally, I note from the area, I did go to the GIS mapping and the map that was provided, or the drawing that was provided, there doesn't appear to be a potential for a request for severance after the fact. There's only one entrance from 57. So, that resolved my issue. Is this, through you to Victoria, is this ARU what we would have deemed a garden suite in the past? Because it's separate and detached from a primary residence?
Through you, there were still in the A1 zones permitted secondary dwellings. Now, since there have been provincial changes, there have been more allowances for additional residential units. So in the A1 zone anyways, there would be a permitted secondary dwelling, where in this case, we've updated the zoning bylaw for ARUs to permit more ARUs within rural areas. And then it would fall within this section that has been updating the zoning bylaw 5.241, which includes more provisions where it should be within the farm cluster. It should be a further setback than the existing dwelling on site too. I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, I knew all of that, but thank you for reminding me. No, I was just referencing the previous zoning where we would allow an additional residential unit called a garden suite, which would come with its own set of rules and timelines. And that's all been resolved, and the province allows these, and there is no time limit on them. We permitted them before, we permit them now. I wanted to kind of get an idea of if it had been in the cluster. But thank you, Victoria. I have no problem with this, this file. While it would be preferable to be within the farm cluster as to meet the regulation, they're being very sensitive to the environmental impact and the potential for farming. So thank you. Those are my questions. I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none. If the applicant is in attendance, you can come forward and have your say. And if there is any others in attendance who would like to speak in support of this application, seeing none. And seeing none on the screen, obviously, that will go to any in attendance that would like to speak in opposition, which is nobody's here for that either. So that's good. I would again ask the committee members if there's any requirement for further discussion. May I request review or ask any conditions, if not already mentioned. I just have a comment. I kind of piggyback on Barb's comments. They seem to know their land quite well, and they know the positions of where it could be the best, and they're willing to buffer against the side road with more trees. So I have no concern with this either. Just comment. So I'll ask the committee members again if there's a requirement for further discussion, review any conditions not already mentioned. Seeing none, so may I request a mover and a seconder to grant, refuse, or defer this application? Monica and
Grant.
thank you, Monica, and Joan will second it. Be resolved that staff report, PL 2025-089 regarding minor variance file A1325 for 573-120 Southgate Side Road 57 be received for information, and that the committee consider approval for minor variance A1325 to reduce the front yard setback from the eastern lot line along Southgate Side Road 57 to plus or minus 63 meters and plus or minus 290 meters east of the existing primary dwelling, where zoning requires that an additional residential unit not have a front yard abutting an improved public street less than the front yard of the primary dwelling, and that it be located within 50 meters maximum of the farm building cluster, and that the remaining provisions of the agricultural one zone, section 524 for additional residence and other applicable sections of the zoning bylaw are met, and that a building permit be obtained. And it was moved to grant and seconded. So all in favor? And that is carried. The decision of the Committee of Adjustment is to grant the application. And moving on, adjournment. The notice of decisions from today's meeting will be signed electronically by members and distributed accordingly per the Planning Act. The committee decisions may be appealed pursuant to Section 17D of the Planning Act within 20 days of the date of the notice to the Ontario Land Tribunal. May I ask for a motion to adjourn? And Barb had her hand up and Monica seconds it. So that is the end of today's Committee of Adjustment.